Hello, everybody. So today, I'm just going to give you a quick update. There's been some changes to the game. The first is that I have decided to add in casual mode because a lot of people find the game pretty difficult, and that's fair. I wanted to make it quite challenging. So now there is the casual mode, so your units will respawn after they die in a map. And this means you are missing out on some goodies from the game, from alternate dialogue, from death quotes and stuff. Or not alternate dialogue from death quotes, but alternate scenarios if characters die. But, well, the game isn't really designed around an Iron Man mode to begin with. You'd struggle if your characters died, so I don't feel too bad putting casual in there. The next change, as we can see here maybe, if you have a keen eye, is that the portraits have all been redone. I got a help from someone whose name escapes me right now. I should have checked it before I started recording it, but they have 3 different names on 2 different messaging services, and then they told me to credit a different name, but it'll be in the README. But yeah, the portraits have been darkened, so the characters look more... Oh, well, they look less like standard Fire Emblem characters. That's something I always wanted for the game, and I try to find characters with as dark skin as possible. But it's not too easy for the Fire Emblem kind of hacking scene, which is understandable because like most Fire Emblem games take place in a more European setting, but this one takes place in and around a desert. So I wanted the characters to look visually distinct, and that's why I changed some of the names of the weapons and stuff as well. Like the elixirs I call poultices, and the slim sword I call a scythe. But it's not just the character portraits. I've also went and done this myself, but I've updated the dragon portraits. So before I had dragon portraits that were standard portraits with the palette messed up a bit. And that was to give the dragons an otherworldly feel. But people look at that and they think, is there a mistake or something? So I went and I've changed the dragon portraits, but to still keep the otherworldly feel, I've kind of darkened the portraits, and I've also removed any blinking or mouth movement frames. So they're just static images, which compared to the other characters who do have mouth moving frames and stuff, hopefully it'll make them look kind of less alive or less human. That's the idea. But the last update is I've added something called AI tags. And so this is also to make the game easier. I mess around with AI a lot in this game to make characters do different things. But if you don't know that, the game's going to be pretty challenging. Like these 2 enemies down here, you look at their range, it goes up to here, and you think, how can I deal with that? How can I get through these characters at the same time, all these enemies? But the thing is, these enemies don't move. But you won't know that until you test it out. So for a blind run, it's pretty unfair. So what I've done is I've given these useless items in their inventory whose name and description will tell you what the AI for the character does, or for the enemy. So this is stationary AI. These units will not move. In more recent games, they tell you that by just reducing your movement to 0, but that's a bit awkward. I need to make a separate class for every single unit I want to do that for. And there's 5 types, I believe. The standard type is a standard aggro AI. That one's not marked because it's going to be obvious that they're moving towards you from the start of the map. The next type is lure. This is another pretty standard Fire Emblem one. This guy won't move until you go into his range. So we'll just end the turn here and show that out. See, so those 2 moved, but this guy didn't. So that's pretty standard Fire Emblem fare, I think. The one that's less standard now is this guy over here, although still in Fire Emblem because I just used everything that's in the base game. This is half range AI. So this guy, his range is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you go within 3 squares of him, maybe 4, I'm not sure how it rounds, then he'll start moving. So if you go here to the edge of his range and try to bait him in with a bow, he won't actually move towards you until you get to here. And this can be tricky with the wyverns in particular who carry a breath and a claw attack, because you'll want to lure them in with a bow, but that doesn't quite work. So that's it. The standard aggroing from the start of the map, the only aggroing when you get in their range, aggroing when you get in half their range. There's also one that's aggro if you get just outside of their range. If they can hit you in 2 attacks, then they'll get you. This guy doesn't have that, but if he did, he can move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2 for his tomahawk. So if you got there, then he'd start moving towards you. That one's not too tricky to deal with because, well, they'll be in your range for your turn. And the last one will show up in a second now when we get to reinforcements. Well, actually, there is another one that's weight AI. That one it tells you that the unit might change halfway through the map. Say, for example, in a defense map, towards the end, the boss starts charging towards you. I've given the boss a weight AI. So let's just wait for the last enemies here. Show up in a second now. Yeah. So these guys, usually I use this for reinforcement. So some units from the start of the map, they have hesitant AI. So that means on their first turn, they won't move. They'll stay in the same spot. But after their first turn, then they'll start moving towards you. So I use this for reinforcements just so you can get your bearings, because like most Fire Emblem players, I hate ambush reinforcements. So these are the anti-ambush reinforcements. They won't move even on the first turn they spawn. But usually the reinforcements in this game are pretty powerful, or they spawn outside of your range, so you can't just pick them off immediately. And the last thing to note is that because this is an item, we don't want to drop it if the enemy has a droppable item. So if the enemy has a droppable item, like he drops his Iron Axe, then you will not have an AI tag for that specific unit. Otherwise, the unit will have an AI tag unless they're the standard aggro AI. Or if they have a full inventory. If the enemy has 4 weapons, that's the full inventory for enemies, then they won't have an AI tag because like, I can't fit it in the inventory. But outside of the last chapter, there's not too many enemies that are like that. Okay, hope you enjoyed that update. Hope you look forward to playing in casual mode if the game is too challenging for you. But try classic mode and try use the AI tags to understand what exactly the enemy is doing and to prepare for it. Okay, have a good day and see you later.